you ready to make technology work for you? Tune in to Act on Tech, the podcast where we break down the latest tech trends and show you how to boost your productivity at home and in your business. So, subscribe to Act on Tech today and visit alexcustomtech.com to see how we can take your business to the next level. That's Act on Tech, your guide to smarter tech for a smarter business. Alex Custom Tech, IT means integrity and trust.
Hi, this is Alex of Alex Custom Tech. Welcome to Act on Tech, where we talk all things technology, right? In layman terms, so you can understand what it is and how it benefits you, how you make your life more productive. Today's topic is going to be prosumer routers. If you're not familiar with the term, I'm going to try to explain it to you. Okay? So, specifically, we're diving into the prosumer router, what it is, what sets it apart from consumer models, right? And why both home users and small business should consider upgrading. You know, if you ever have like issue with your Wi-Fi in your building, you struggle with managing multiple devices, you need a stronger security, this is a perfect thing to listen to, because this solves some of these problems. Okay, so we're going to go into definitions. All right, a consumer router is the router you normally get from your ISP. So when you call Verizon or AT&T, if you do call AT&T, or whatever your provider for internet is, when you bring them in, you say, okay, I need internet. They'll hook up the wires to your building or house, right? And then they'll give you a device. The device that they give you is a box that does everything. It does the Wi-Fi, it does the networking, it does everything. And what a router really does, it routes the internet, the network traffic to places that it's supposed to be. And I don't want to go too much into networking. It's going to be another podcast, right? But the router routes the traffic. Let's think about like a router that routes traffic, tell traffic where it's supposed to go, right? So the box they give you from the ISP, it's an all-in-one box. So it does multiple things, right? And that's what a consumer router does, right? It's a plug-and-play type of device, but it has limited customization to it. Now, a prosumer router, right, has a bridge more of a gap, bigger, right? And it's way more complicated or way more advanced than a consumer router, right? And you might also hear terminologies like LAN or QoS, right, or VLANs. This is where that comes into play in the prosumer routers. And these are things you might not even know about. We're going to talk about VLANs and QoSs and LAN segments and why you can use this. So, like I said, the consumer router, one little box they give you, and everything is managed by that one box. Wi-Fi, your networking stuff, but it's very limited in what it can do. The prosumer router has more capabilities. So the main thing is, consumer router, again, like I said, is often underpowered for homes and small businesses with multiple devices. Prosumer routers like, what we use here, Unified Dream Machine or TP-Link Omada. I talked about this one before, the ER605 is a very good router. Or your Netgear or your open source like pfSense. They're faster throughputs, right? Meaning they're faster on the network level. And between handling multiple devices. So you have like an office, right? I mean, in the homes, because homes are getting way more complicated. Because back in the day, you would have internet, and the internet would just be for your computer. and that was it. The reason we have an internet is because you have a computer at home, and that's it. And you used to have like literally like one computer, maybe two computers in the house, and that was it. But now we are like leaning very heavy into the whole TI internet protocol. Okay, so it's not just the laptop or the PC on the desk that's plugged into this router. Your refrigerator, your stove, your television, all the mobile devices you have, all the iPhones and Androids, and you have your light switches, and so everything is going out to the internet, into the World Wide Web, right? And the other router that you get from your ISP is not really the best thing to handle all of that. And I'm not gonna say like it doesn't handle it, because people do use it. Like for instance, well again, I give a lot of customers, residential customers, if they're not doing anything too crazy and they want to have a really good Wi-Fi coverage, and that's really most of what they're worried about, I'll give them Google Mesh, and that's okay. Go to town with that, which is a prosumer router, which is not a prosumer router. It's just a router. It's a little bit more advanced than the one your ISP will give you some more flexibility because Google is backing it, but it's not a prosumer router. It's limited. That's kind of why I'm taking this one out of my infrastructure right now, because I'm home, but I have the office in the back, and I have the Google Mesh network set up here in the house, and that's worked for a couple of years. But what I had before, was pfSense. I think I mentioned it in this thing right here. I had pfSense first, and that segmented my network the way I wanted it to, because I was pushing my network. But once I moved the office to the back, I didn't really finish the networking setup in there. I just wanted the computers and the servers to work. I just kind of like went back to Google Mesh so that people in the house could have Wi-Fi and not say anything to me, and I could just work on infrastructure at the garage. And then what I'm doing now is going back to the prosumer stuff. The reason why I'm going on this long story is because residential users, if you're not really worried about things that I listed before, you're not worried about throughput, and you're not worried about security, you're not worried about those kind of things, and stability, and you're not really segmenting the devices you have in the house, like your gaming PC console and your IoT devices and your have a VoIP phone, then you don't have to worry about this, right? The ISP router that they give you is perfectly fine for you. But to be honest with you, modern times with families or small businesses, definitely you're going to need a prosumer router, right? And I went on that way to tell you because, like I said, faster throughputs, better handle of multiple users or multiple devices, and homes. Again, businesses, because they're going to have their phone system, they're going to have servers, they're going to have, applications and all this other stuff. And you need to probably delegate certain protocols. Like for instance, my wife, she works from home. So she works as an HR for a company. So she get a lot of phone calls. So I have to prioritize certain things. And when you prioritize certain protocols on the network, which means that you want to say to the network, basically, these things, when it hits the router, you want to prioritize this over this, or this is supposed to be prioritized if there's like limited bandwidth or whatever. Prioritize these things, this protocol, like your phone or your video, whatever, and that's called QoS, quality of service, right? And you might want to control like what website they can see, what they can't see. That's called filtering. You might want to do that. Again, you can't do that with a ISP out of the box router, right? So plus not to mention the firewall situation. Your laptop has a firewall, but if you can put the firewall on the router level, that's also pretty good too. And you can prevent intrusions, IDS and IPSs, right? And of course, you can have your VPN, so you can again, it's more for business, but home users can use it too. We talk about what VPNs is. This router can handle that. Of course, you have your VLAN, so you can separate things, where you can say separate all the IoT devices, because you really want to do that. To be honest with you, you want to segment your network because of the all IoT devices. And let's talk about why we're doing this, why this is important. Again, if you don't have any automatic light switches and automatic outlets and televisions that are connected to the network, and you're not watching Roku all the time or Apple TV, it's not, you have to worry about this. But if you are you're buying all these devices that are connected to the internet, and even some people have their cars, you have Tesla, and that comes home, that goes on the internet, right? You want to have a separate network that's not tied to your computers and your mobile devices, so that, because these devices that you have in your house, say you have a light switch, or you have your coffee maker and all this other stuff, this is controlled by another company, and those devices reach out to the cloud for updates and whatever. If those devices have vulnerabilities, right? Because hackers, we talk about hackers and how they are. If they have vulnerabilities and it's on the same LAN as everything else in your house, like a computer and everything like that, they can use those devices' weaknesses to get into your network and create havoc. So if you segment your network, so you say to yourself, okay, all the IoT devices are on network 1 or LAN 1, right? And you have all your home personal devices like your laptop and your phones on line 2, right? And you have line 3 for your security cameras or whatever. Because again, people are really just leaning into IoT devices and security and all this other stuff, right? If you don't segment the network, once they get in, they're in. But if they get into line 1, the LAN 1, they still won't see your computers. It's one more layer. They have to go say, I still can't go to the guy's computer. I still can't see what he's actually doing on his network. So this is why you need to consider prosumer routers, because they have the capability to do this. And it's a little bit more costly than the regular ones. Normally, what happens with the IoT, the ISPs, they just give you a router based on your package, right? So, like I said, that's a security thing. Built-in firewall, intrusion detection and prevention, VPN support, parental control, and guest network, which is another thing. It's called captive portal. When you go to a hotel and you log onto the Wi-Fi that they give you, and you get this little thing pop up and it says, you read all the terms and conditions, and you click it, and then you get internet. You can have that set up in your house for guests. They say, okay, these are the rules of this house. Okay, click to accept, then you get internet, and then you can control how much bandwidth they get and that kind of stuff. So again, it gives you a lot more control, which, if you notice in this whole podcast that I'm doing, it's all about control. And I think geeks in general like control. Okay, so that's something to consider. All right, network control. You are not stuck with default settings. Set up your own VPNs. Isolate business devices from personal devices, right? Prioritize traffic. We'll talk about that. We can prioritize VoIP traffic. We can prioritize video traffic. We can prioritize Netflix, right? Schedule access to internet. This is another thing. You can say internet work for the kids from this time to this time, and then off of this time to this time. Now, again, like I talked to you about, a lot of customers that I have, they're like more seasoned as far as age. Like, they don't want to go into all this stuff. This is just, I don't want to be messing around with this stuff. So I'll give them Google Mesh, which is still better than the ISP router, because I've changed a lot of people's residential routers that they get from Verizon, or they get from whatever the carrier is, and I'll give them Google Mesh, and they have way more control than they had before. Again, it is I wouldn't call it a prosumer router. I really wouldn't, because I'm using it and I'm not happy with it as far as like the capabilities of what I want to do and where it stops, right? Because it doesn't have VLANs, right? So I need more control. But if that's all you're looking for as a residential person, yeah, you just want to get Wi-Fi in every room and that's it. But with these prosumer routers, you can get one of those like I'm doing right now, and I am going to talk about network in a future podcast and give you kind of like a more because maybe this was no good idea to talk about prosumer routers. We cannot understand how networks really work, but I think this is a good topic because I kind of talk about what I'm experiencing, and right now working in the office now and segmenting different LANs that I have in this building. Let me say, oh snap! People don't even know about this, you know. So I mean, most people don't know about this. Let me do a podcast on that. So, like I said, VLANs, which is virtual LANs, and prioritizing traffic, right? Scalability, right? So, say you buy one of these prosumer routers, you set up a couple of access points. It's very good with mesh, right? Just so you know. And small business, you have a couple of computers in there, you know, so you have 10 computers in there for now. This is perfect to scale up because the more devices you get, the better it's very easy to scale from small to big with these, right? Very easy, very reliable, right? So like whether you're adding more smart home devices or expanding your office, you know, prosumer routers are designed for growth. Some even have connection to mesh, like I said, access points and reliability. These things are built to run 24/7. Better terminal design, firmware update. I mean, again, like if you get, you know, your unified Dream Machine or something from Omega, something from Netgear for TP-Link, you're gonna have that whole company behind you supporting you. Of course, if you're gonna go open source with like PFSense, then you have the big community behind you. I mean, I remember doing an interview once with a tech company that I was considering working for, and in the interview, it's like, so what devices are you familiar with, you know? And I said to him, like, yeah, I use a lot of PFSense at a time. So I'm like, all right, I mess with PFSense, I mess with VLANs and PFSense and that kind of stuff. And he was like, don't use PFSense. And again, and I understand, and this was a really big company, so I get why they would be, or they read about PFSense. But again, a company like this, they're not going to use prosumer routers. They're going to be using Cisco and Jupiter, which is another. Those are like the industrial level routers, right? But those are not cheap. Those are a lot of money, you know. So yeah. So again, but PFSense has a really good community behind it. The guys really, you know, don't be afraid of open source stuff. Open source is a good way to play around with concepts and play around with software and get an idea how they work, and then later on you can actually go, if you want, you can go buy the real thing and not have to worry about updates and that kind of stuff. But when you do get a PFSense, you're managing that on your own. So, you know, if you're going to put it in the business, I would recommend you get an MSP to manage it for you. I don't think you should do that on your own. And if you're really, really comfortable, then fine. Okay? So, you know, small businesses, again, that's what we help. You're gonna have your VoIP phones and your remote access for co-workers. Say you work from home. It's another thing. You're a small business. You got people who have satellite things. You're gonna need a VPN. These prosumer routers are perfect for that, right? Okay. Common mistake to avoid, definitely. Don't overbuy. Just get router for what you need. Right? Talk to an MSP person. They'll help you, guide you to what you should need. Don't like go get something crazy and spend a whole truckload of money and then you don't really need it. You have 5 computers and you have like a, you know, Ubiquiti Dream Machine and another 48 port switch on it, and you know, unnecessary. Just kind of keep it, you know, simple. Don't set up these routers as a powerful but require proper configuration. So pretty much don't skip the setups. When you get it, spend the time to understand the router, activate the features in it, get familiarized with the router. Don't just take it out of the box, plug it in, thinking that it's like a consumer router. All right, and don't ignore updates. It's very important. All this is all for naught if you don't do the updates. Then, because again, hackers do attack these things, right? So get the updates, right? Actionable takeaway from all this. Let me see what time it is. Okay. Evaluate your current network. Even if it's a home or business, think about what you have. What are the devices on your network? How you're using them? How often do you use them? Try to figure out the traffic that you have. You can Google this stuff. Like, you can say to yourself, okay, game console, what traffic is that? Or my phone, what traffic is that? What are the websites you go to the most? Whatever. And then you can come up with a strategic plan of how you want to manage your network, right? If you work from home or run a business, you have a small home, like, again, all these fridges and all this other stuff you have in the house. Again, think about, evaluate, do your inventory, right? Consider investing in a Prosumer router, definitely, because it manages these things better. It segments your network. It separates things. You can delegate protocol to traffic. And like I said, the main thing, start simple. Don't overdo it. And if you do get one, get in there, get your hands dirty, figure out the features, see what it can do, right? And just think about that. So we talk about prosumer routers, why it's important, and I give you the concept of what you normally would have from your ISP and the prosumer router, and why you should lean into the prosumer router. So like I said, in my situation, in my infrastructure, right, I have the house and I have the garage where my office is, right? And initially when I moved here, right, the house and the garage, the house and my office was in the same, like, office was upstairs, right? And I have in my office this, all my equipment and all my computer repair gear and all that sort of stuff. My servers upstairs in the office, right? And I have my kids and I have my wife and all this other stuff. So I had to separate the network into, I would say, 3 LANs, right? So I have the main Hutchison network, and then I have Alex Custom Tech Network, and then I have another network that I call Axe Service Network, and that's the network when people come, when people come as a guest, that's the one that they go on. And when I bring in people's computer to repair or servers to repair, that's the network it plugs into. So if there's a virus on that computer, it doesn't hit Alex Custom Tech, it doesn't hit the house network, which is Hutchison network. That's kind of what I'm saying. Now, you can't do that with a consumer router, but you can do this with a prosumer router. And the router I was using at the time was a PFSense router that I managed myself, right? I was able to segment the network into 3, and it had no problem. It was fine. And then the only issue I had at the time, and I had one access point, and the signal would drop. So what I did, I said, okay, I'm gonna give the family the access point, right? And then I'll create another access point for Alex Custom Tech, and that's how that worked, right? And that was fine, right? Now, when I moved the office to the garage, and I did the radio station at the same time, right? Because the garage had the radio station and my office, 2 things were in the garage. I'm gonna need more LANs. So when I moved and I was doing the garage, I took out PFSense, and then what we did was we brought in Google Mesh. Now, the reason why I did that, I'm just kind of giving you an idea how I planned this out. It's important for my family not to be affected by all these network changes, and again, they don't really understand what I'm doing behind the scenes. They just want, when my wife comes home, she just want her phone to work. And when my kids go on his Xbox, he's supposed to just work. And plus, my kid's very competitive because he plays, like, he's 13 years old, but he plays like Fortnite and all these other games. And when you come to gaming, you need a hardwire connection. So that's another thing too. So I had to make sure that all that stuff works. He doesn't notice any differences, and they don't complain. So I got so the best thing for me at the time, even though I didn't need the complexity of dividing the network, I said, okay, let me go with Google Mesh. Now, what Google Mesh does do, it does give me 2 networks. Here's how it works. It gives me the main network, and then it gives me a guest network, and it's separated. So I could put all the IoT devices on the Google Mesh guest network, and then I can have the main devices on the main network. The only thing that I did that I didn't really feel comfortable with, but I did it anyway, the Xbox and the PlayStation and the phones and the computers on the same network. the same LAN, and then the IoT device was on the guest network, right? So the TV was also on the main network, which I didn't like, but just to make it not complicated for them, that's what I did. Okay, so now I wired up the garage. Everything is fine with the garage now, but the garage is massive as far as like how many cables are in there, how many ports, and there's 2 server racks in the garage, and then there's another rack for my lab. So this is like full-blown, networking complexity in the garage. So I'm like, okay, now I'm going to need to segment this thing up, and I'm going to segment it in more than just 3 networks. I'm going to have the Hutchison network, which is the main network. I'm going to have a guest network for the family. Then I'm going to have that same act service network for computers that I'm repairing in my lab. But I'm going to have a network for the radio station. I'm going to have a network for Alex Custom Tech itself, and I'm going to have another network for security, for my security cameras and IoT devices. So it's like we're talking about like 6 or 7 networks, 7 LANs I'm going to have to create. Thank God for VPN, for VLANs I can do that. But I'm just trying to show you how I go from a simple network, how I initially started out with just like a prosumer, went to a consumer, went back to a prosumer. Now, in the process of going to the prosumer, right now I'm using TP-Link to manage all the 7 networks that I'm designing, right? But at the same time, I'm also testing out TP-Link to see, if it's doable, can you handle it? But at the same time, and it's doing really good. Just to be clear, it's doing a good job. But I'm leaning more towards Unify because I have a couple of Unify switches and a couple of Unify access points that I love, and I was going to do the whole ecosystem in Unify. But I still want to have as a backup the TP-Link because these are very good prosumer routers. Well, like I always say, stay productive.
Hey there, Jersey and Eastern PA businesses. Ready to take your IT game to the next level? Get excited because Alex Custom Tech is coming your way. We're your go-to for IT support, bringing integrity and trust to every service. From network upgrades to virtualization and even relocating your IT setup, we've got you covered. Stay tuned as we put the finishing touches on our new site. Alex Custom Tech, helping your business thrive with top-notch IT support right in your backyard.
Welcome to Alex Custom Tech, your trusted partner for computer service and repair since 2010. We provide professional consulting services to clients throughout New Jersey and Pennsylvania, offering everything from computer repair to network design and installation. Our focus is on building efficient, results-driven professional relationships with our clients. We work with you to create customized solutions that fit your specific needs, whether you're an individual or an organization. Our comprehensive IT consulting services are designed to make your technology work more effectively for you. We provide solutions that meet your business's performance and utilization demands. Because we understand that when your technology doesn't work, neither do you. We specialize in network design and implementation, taking the pain out of network creation, maintenance, and repair. Our team understands that even minimal downtime can impact your productivity and revenue. That's why we offer 24/7 proactive monitoring and maintenance to strategically optimize and protect your infrastructure. For residential and business clients, we provide affordable and reliable computer repair services, available both on-site and at our location. Our commitment to quality is reflected in our satisfied customers' experiences. We service New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Alex Custom Tech is ready to serve your IT needs. Contact us today at 855-668-6315 or email info@alexcustomtech.com to discover how Alex Custom Tech can help optimize your technology solutions.